if you are in a state with open carry, or if you're a Floridian hoping for open carry, is it a good idea to open carry?
Well, this is going to be the spicy part.
We are the Arms Attorneys. Today we are talking about the latest Bruin challenge to restrictive gun laws. We're going to talk to you about the open carry challenge that's happening right now, what we think Bruin says about whether or not open carry is protected under the Second Amendment, and finally, a hot button debate, should you even be open carrying? But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And the debate part's probably going to be the most fun, so make sure to stick around. But I think a little bit of background on this case. So this is filed out of the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida by one of our good friends, James Phillips, of the Katz and Phillips firm, the firearm firm. If you're looking for great Second Amendment attorneys in the state of Florida, that's the place to check out. We'll link there. They actually have a YouTube channel also covering this kind of stuff, so we'll link them in the description below. But James, good friend of the channel. Happy to see his name on a GOA filing. So
Yeah.
we have Gun Owners of America, Owners Foundation, and some individual plaintiffs.
Yes. So, GOA, GOF, fantastic. Then we have, as is necessary to really get standing, we have people who have sworn out declarations who say, if open carry were legal in Florida, I'd be doing it. And so we have, two, I think, just general upstanding individuals, a man and a woman. And then we have the most interesting individual plaintiff, and the one who really might move this ball forward, who is an 18-year-old Eagle Scout.
There we go.
Richard, when Richard Hayes was an 18-year-old Eagle Scout, should he have been allowed to open carry?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, so what we've got is this Florida law that says that all open carry, I mean, there are a few exceptions, I think hunting and, there are a couple things built into the code, but they're very restrictive. But generally speaking, open carry is not allowed, even if you have a permit. So that's with or without a permit. There is just, like, Florida joins the elite ranks of states like Illinois, New York, Washington, D.C. I mean, it's just, it's crazy talk, but that's the world that we live in.
And what's, I think, kind of surprising about just open carry bans in general, it is the exact opposite of virtually how all gun laws developed in the United States. What we saw is people who carry openly, those are good, upright citizens who they don't have anything to hide. And so what we saw in development of gun laws across the United States is open carry typically not banned. And even in states where we now have constitutional carry, when we see constitutional carry popping up or permitless carry in other states, it was removing the restrictions on concealed carry because they already had open carry. And Florida had the exact opposite.
Right, as did Texas, if you recall. Think back to the year 2015, in which all of even the Republicans in Texas were like, there's going to be blood in the streets once this open carry passes. And then, of course, blood did not flow down the streets of
Well, first they were like,
Texas,
if we give permits, blood in the streets didn't happen. Oh, open carry
blood in the
didn't
streets.
happen.
Campus carry, blood in the classrooms.
Yep.
Didn't happen.
Permitless carry, again. I mean, we're up to our eyeballs at this point.
I know, right? But so that is the challenge. Florida is one of the last holdouts. It's a bizarre holdout given its cohorts in this effort to ban open carry, and we have a good, solid Bruin challenge. Now, there was another challenge filed to this open carry law back in 2017, but that was, of course, before the world of Bruin. And so hypothetically, things should have changed now, right, Richard? Because what's your Bruin analysis for open carry?
Well, I have to throw in this caveat before we get into the Bruin analysis. Well, because it plays into the Bruin analysis. Florida passed permitless constitutional carry for concealed carry.
Concealed carry.
But they still have the ban on the open carry. All right, so going, with that little asterisk, got to put that in the front. So we look at, all right, is the Second Amendment implicated by carrying a firearm in public? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely yes. Where do we go there? Well, facially unconstitutional. That's the next step. What happens next? Burden shifts to the government to prove based on the text of the Second Amendment that this is something that would have been regulated. There's nothing in the Second Amendment about bans on open carry. So then we look to the history and tradition of firearms regulations at the time of the adoption of the amendment in 1791. And I don't think we're going to have an analogy.
No, we do not. And James, who, again, I mean, I have worked alongside James now for
Almost a
10
decade.
years,
Yeah.
more than a decade. David and James both are, they are the firearm firm. They are incredibly smart firearm lawyers, and he lays it out beautifully in this petition. I mean, first of all, there is, the bans on open carry were racist to begin with. I mean, it was all passed in the wake of Reconstruction with the intent essentially that they didn't want freed slaves carrying guns,
Right.
right? So he's got that all laid out beautifully. And then looking at, look, Reconstruction, that's not what we're looking at. That's
No.
not 1791. That's 100, we're looking at almost 100 years later. And so it has no bearing upon the Second Amendment.
Yeah, we saw that indication from the court. All right, so the things that have the most weight in determining whether an infringement, as you and I know it, could possibly be upheld by this framework, the further we get away from 1791, the less relevant it becomes. And then, so we look at all these late 1800s laws, Civil War era laws, 1870s laws. Those things become, 1875, those things become way less relevant. And then especially we jump into modern regulations in 1900s. That those I don't think should have any weight
No.
whatsoever.
And that's all Florida has. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't have anything to point to whether, anywhere in the country that would be contemporaneous or thereabouts to the ratification of the Second Amendment. Now, does that mean the court is going to do the right thing, though? And that's the question, because we've talked about this on the channel before, which is that if Bruin is faithfully and truly applied, most of this stuff comes crashing down. However, we are seeing courts not faithfully apply Bruin, and I am worried that the court here is going to say, got an avenue. You got an avenue to carry. It's
Yeah,
just not open, right?
that's why we did the pre-asterisk of, hey, we have permitless constitutional concealed carry here in the state of Florida, because that is the trend. Because I think the court will say, hey, guess what? Implicated by Second Amendment, maybe they try to find an analogous regulation, but ultimately what they're going to say is, hey, guess what? The burden imposed on this is so undermined by this alternative avenue, that maybe we don't have to address it. And that's not part of New York State Rifle and
No.
Pistol Association v. Bruin, but that's what we see courts doing.
But that's what we're seeing them doing. Now, that is where Mr. Eagle Scout might be helpful to us.
Yeah.
Because of his tender age, right? He can't get a license yet in Florida.
Right.
I mean, his options are greatly limited because he is 18 years old. And for him, I mean, I don't know that this takes down open carry in Florida altogether, but I don't know. There might be something.
Well, that's,
you gotta let the 18-year-old do something.
I mean, that's kind of what they did in Texas, saying,
Bingo.
hey, we have to give these people an avenue. But the court did a good job in saying, because we did this with our licensing scheme, for handgun licenses here in Texas for 18-year-olds, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Instead of the court just saying, here's your avenue, you can go get a license, they said, why not both? You could go get a license, or you can engage in permitless or constitutional carry. And so, will this case be on the back of an Eagle Scout? Maybe. Just like Mount Philmont.
I don't know what that means.
If you know, all right, we don't have to do that.
But so that brings us to our last, I think, our point of debate, which is if you are in a state with open carry, or if you're a Floridian hoping for open carry, is it a good idea to open carry?
Well, this is going to be the spicy part, because this I talked to, and this is just my survey. I'm not going to give my opinion. I'll give my opinion at the end. But when I survey people, they usually fall into two camps.
Mm-hmm.
The first camp, and I'll tell you, I fall into a third camp.
Oof.
The first camp is, it is tactically disadvantageous to openly carry. That makes people recognize me as a possible way to stop someone engaging in mayhem. And so therefore, I think open carry is dumb, and I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't ever think anybody would think that's a good idea. The second camp, which I'm closer to, is my God-given right as America to take a gun wherever I want.
Sure.
But I'm still in the third camp. All right, what are your observations?
So I will say, that, first, open carry should be the law of the land everywhere, and there should never have been any permit to open carry because, as Richard pointed out, open carry was traditionally the avenue of the lawful, right? I mean, that was the way things were. It
Yep.
was, well, maybe if you're hiding it, you might have ill intent, but we do not worry about the guys who are openly carrying their firearms. These are the good guys. They're not hiding anything from you. They just want to defend themselves, defend whomever around them that they need to defend. Um, I still think that that's fantastic. And I wish that more people would open carry more often because I'll say, like in a town like Houston, you don't see it very often and it becomes taboo. And then people
Yeah.
sort of get like a little antsy when you do see it. And if you see it more often, it becomes more normalized. I think that's a very, very good thing. Now, that being said, do I open carry? I've open carried maybe 2 or 3 times in my whole life because, like, if someone's going to pick someone to disarm, like the the blonde woman who's probably on her cell phone is like a good option.
Texting while walking across the parking lot.
Right. Like that makes me a target. Now, I will the when open carry passed into law in Texas, I open carried all day that day.
Yep.
And maybe once in my neighborhood where I feel very, very, secure that I'm not going to be disarmed, but it's not my thing. I don't think it's safe for me, but I do think, like, I mean, you're safe open carrying for the most part.
Well, I
My
think
husband's safe open
you.
carrying.
I think we've hit all the main considerations, and there's probably more. We want to hear them in the comment section. Me, I most of the time will conceal carry. I open carry whenever I'm out on land or out in the country, just because it's more convenient, it's more comfortable. I think I would like it if people open carried more because it would become less taboo. And then why I think we should completely decriminalize open carry is because let's say you are concealed carry and then you inadvertently, show your gun, you reach for cereal on the top shelf in the grocery store. The gotcha crime stuff when it comes to firearms, nothing makes me more mad than gotcha crimes. And so for that reason, we have to legalize open carry
Yeah,
or
I like it.
decriminalize open carry.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. I agree. Anyway, but we are anxious to hear what you guys think as well.
But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And check us out at 5 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And don't forget to check out the Firearm Firm, both on YouTube. And if you're in the state of Florida and you need some gun law help, check them out at thefirearmfirm.com as well. Until next time, we're the Armstrongs.